Hey everyone, it's Carl again. I was thinking the other day about living worlds and the concept of your game world, your campaign world is got a life of its own and things are happening whether the player's there or not. So it feels to the players like they're in a vibrant living world versus sort of the whole world is just a movie set. It's waiting for the characters to come in and interact with it, and when they leave, everything stops, sort of in suspended animation. So let's talk about creating a living world. Adventure and intrigue. Fighting monsters out of our league. We'll roll the dice and pray they're nice. A +2 and I might succeed. Hi everyone, this is Carl again with Tabletop Tango, and I would love if you like and subscribe, because if we get enough subscribers, we can use some of the community tools, and that would be cool. So anyway, I talked a little bit about what a living world is. And so a living world, probably a lot of different definitions. Different podcasts, different video channels, they talk about it. My take on what a living world is a world which, if we took the player characters out of it, things happen. The world keeps continuing, versus, as I said, nothing happens. Everything is static until the players show up, interact with it. So when you're talking about your world building, how do you make that world seem alive, whether the players are interacting with it or not? Now, I want to differentiate that from your meta arc, which you can have a bad guy who's got a plan and they're putting things in motion, and if the players choose not to interact with those clues or what have you, there will be consequences. You have the necromancer who's creating the undead army that's going to destroy all the villages in the valley, and the players decide, well, I'm going to stay in the inn. Okay, he destroys all the villages in the valley, and now you're dealing with the consequences. That's a little bit different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the world as a big place that the players may or may not be interacting with some of these things. So let's talk about them. Maybe it'll help define it a little bit. So the first thing that shows that the world is kind of dynamic is changing mundane things, or mundane things change over time. And what I mean by that is, look at our own interaction with the world. We go to a store and we see Christmas decorations up, and we know, oh, it's the holiday season. We may not interact with them, we may not care to buy any, but that little change has shown that the world is, turning. Seasons are coming. Holidays are coming, and it doesn't matter how we feel about it. We just know that things are changing, and it's mundane. It's not important. In your fantasy world, it could be, their favorite inn got sold. It could be that merchant, he's got a son who's now running the business. Whatever it is, but it shows that the world has kind of changed whether the players are there or not. It's not, I come in and it's always the same person at the bar. They're always there. Doesn't matter. The same patrons are there. It's just the same. But things change over time. So that's kind of the mundane changes. From a bigger standpoint, if you want to create kind of events within the world, you can do that during world building, where you define, here's a set of things that are going to occur over time. And it's not because the players are interacting with them or it's part of the overarch. It's just something to make the world seem alive and vibrant. So what are some of those things? Well, first off, we can start with things like revolutions or changes in power. So a far-off kingdom, the peasants have rose against the leader because he's a bad guy and he's, let them eat cake. The players are nowhere near that. They may hear of it. They may run into caravans of people who are fleeing that kingdom. But in the end, it just shows that the world is dynamic. They don't have to necessarily interact with it. Hey, it may turn into a story arc. They may decide that that's someplace they want to go and they want to interact with that. That's great. It gives you a lot of campaign fodder, but it's not there for that purpose. Also, another option is the concept of a birth of a nation. It could, align with this revolution, but a nation or a country is growing. It has formed. They're doing their own nation building, and the players are hearing about it. Maybe there's more trade. Maybe there's something there's caravans now coming into their area because of this new nation that's formed. Maybe that new nation is going to go to war with the nation they're in. that's more now aligned with kind of the campaign and the overall arc. But the idea is that these things are changing and there's an interesting event occurring. Natural disasters, another opportunity. So obviously not something that the players can interact with to go, save anybody, but natural disasters happen, and they could be huge, cause, incredible changes in the economy. It could change, just all the way to the point of, you think of like books like Dragonlance, where they had the biggest of natural disasters and it completely changed the form of the landscape. Now, that's probably a little too much for just showing a living world. Now that's got to be part of your main campaign. But the idea is these things change the people around them, and the players may be impacted. They may feel that, they may hear about it, and they know that the world is changing, things are happening, there's weather, there's... kind of the final one that I think of is a death of kind of a major individual. Maybe it's a death of the king, maybe it's, something less at the high level of leadership, what have you. But it's something that there's an interesting person in the world who the players may or may not know personally. They would know by reputation, and that person has died. Or somebody has been born. A new prince in another kingdom was born, and there's great celebrations going on. And, maybe the king of the area that the players are in receives gifts. Players may interact with that, they may not. But in the end, it just shows the world is kind of moving and doing things. So that's kind of some of the ideas around what makes a world living. And the bottom line is, I gave some examples, but really the bottom line is there's things happening that would happen whether the characters were playing your game or not. Take the player characters out. This world, these things are happening. When you bring the player characters in, they might interact with them, they might not. It may not be important. Maybe in a modern game, they're getting this stuff through newspapers. Maybe you're feeding in a plot hook or two within that, and it just shows that there's something going on, and they can pick and choose what they think is interesting, and you might build cool campaign arcs around it, but that's not the purpose. So anyway, mundane changes, revolutions, uprising, birth of nations, what else I had? Natural disasters, death of importance, of somebody important, or the birth of somebody important, just general conflict and war, whatever, within the world. So those are some of my ideas. I wouldn't claim that they're unique, but this is some of the things I was thinking about. So again, I'm Carl with Tabletop Tango. Hope you like what you saw. Like, subscribe. We'd love to see you back. Talk to you later. Bye. Adventure and intrigue, fighting monsters out of our league. We'll roll the dice and brave the nice. A +2 and I might succeed. Whether Cthulhu or D&D, or what's on drive through RPG.